man who is the House Majority Leader, who has not lost his House race.
I hope not.
House Majority Leader John Deal, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, thanks. Sorry for running a few minutes late.
We certainly understand it might highlight the fact that we might need some sales tax increases to help with the roads at some point.
Either that or someone make sure they properly maintain their car so it doesn't stall out in the middle of the highway. Not me, by the way.
Oh, someone else.
Okay, good.
Like,
Although I have run out of gas a few times this year.
Let's start with the story of the week, the month, the year. Jane Duker, we'll start with you, and that is Archbishop Robert Carlson and the released audio tape and videotape of him saying that he did not know an adult having sex with a child was a crime. He says it's been taken out of context. It's created a firestorm. What are your thoughts, Jane Duker?
The Archdiocese needs to stop digging. I mean, when you're in a hole, stop digging. I mean, he can parse and he can try to, split hairs and say, well, I was really referring about reporting and at the same time he's doing memos on statute of limitations and, it all looks horrible. And the Archdiocese, needs to step up and they need to expect that if they're going to keep pursuing these cases and not, taking care of these people, that this stuff is going to happen. And it doesn't make the church look like they are coming down on this stuff and ending it. And I'm really disappointed. And I think that, if your battle is, I meant, criminal reporting instead of crime. I mean, if that's what your defense is, then you're losing.
If you're blaming the media at this point,
right,
you're in trouble.
You're losing.
I have heard devout Catholics, everyday church-going Catholics, this is the first time I've ever heard them turn on the church out of all of this.
Yeah.
This is something we have not seen before.
Right.
Almost,
in St. Louis.
Almost an open revolt on the Catholic Church.
Well, and this is what bothers me. If they had a priest that had robbed a bank, or if they had a priest that went out and held up a convenience store, the church would have done everything to cooperate with authorities. I mean, any other crime. This is a crime. Always has been, always will be. And the idea that this has been treated any different than any other crime committed by any other person of clergy or of any other persuasion is ridiculous. They need to stop. They need to acknowledge, and they are going to lose members. And you know what? People are so inspired by this new pope, and this new pope isn't putting up with this crap, and I hope he brings the hammer down or does something to stop what's going on in the United States.
John Deal.
I don't have much to add to that other than I read that I was, wow.
Oh, yeah, and his lawyers told him to quip and whatever, but then admit it.
I don't know what question was asked to get that response.
Oh,
but
I'll give you the Jeppo. It's brutal.
That response was awful. I mean, you look in the paper and you wonder what is the strategy of the church on dealing with these issues. I think this was even a lawsuit in another state from where the Archbishop was
Absolutely.
Before he came here, and it was.
But there's a trial pending here, which means all of that's getting in.
Yeah, so just a lack of an overall strategy on how this is being communicated, what the church's position is. It really is awful. They probably need to like Jane said, quit digging.
Yeah.
Just they need to come completely clean on it and have a better, clearer message that this is wrong. It's always been wrong. And It's not going to be tolerated in the future.
James, you got anything to say?
As a former public school teacher, I mean, one of the first lessons we were taught was you need to report this stuff. I mean, if you see any sign, you need to go tell someone. You need to tell your superior. You need to call the hotline. You need to do something. We all recognize that this is wrong. That it doesn't take very much digging to understand,
or legal training,
or legal training.
How about the moral duty?
This is wrong. So there absolutely needs to be more investigation into this, and we just can't stand this type of behavior.
Here's what it shows to me is that the Archdiocese is listening to their lawyers and not listening to their public relations people. Right? Because and the Catholic Church is all about public relations. And so there's nobody in the room saying, this is not going to play. This answer, once it's out there, is not going to play on Main Street. You are going to do more damage by this answer. Right. You might save yourself in this lawsuit, but it's not going to work past these four walls of legalese.
Well, the deposition was initially, under seal. I mean, you could tell at some point, and it's since been released because that's what happens. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, John, you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. I wouldn't let my client act like that.
It gets back to what you're saying. You have the court, and then you also have the court of public opinion, and you have to have a clear strategy to deal with both.
Right.
And you know what? I mean, and you're in media. You're clearly in politics.
He's
I'm in politics
media.
and media, the whole 9 yards. You know what? If you're doing something you ought not be doing, it usually looks crappy to the public.
Well,
And so you can try to spin, and that's fine. But you know what? Sometimes PR is just about doing the right thing, and then, the PR set tends to follow.
That's Jane Duker. Tony Messenger is out. Filling in for him is James Scholes from the Show Me Institute. Also, John Deal. When we come back, we got teacher tenure overruled in California, and Jay Nixon takes out his veto pen. All that coming up on the board meeting on the Big 550.